overviews in all of the text that is in them, and so I'm going to start here. You have the mouse. I am going to give you some materials, and we're going to get started. So, can I have you pass one of these out to each person, or 4 on each table? You can pass those 4 on each table. While those are going around, we have a trick up front that's happening. Now, I want you to raise your hand if you've ever been on a day-long car trip. You've been in a car for more than like 4 hours at once. More than 4 hours. What about more than 2 hours? Raise your hand if you've been in a car for more than 1 hour. Okay, so sometimes on a day-long car trip, a lot of things happen. Talk to the person sitting next to you about the last time you were on a day-long car trip, where you went, what you did. You have 15 seconds. Go. Five more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Did any of you stop on your car trip? Raise your hand if someone said I stopped. Raise your hand if someone said I drove on a highway. Raise your hand if you drove through a city. No one drove through a city. Raise your hand if you liked it. Raise your hand if you didn't like it. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons that we go on day-long car trips. And you all have the same screen in front of you right now on a piece of paper. I would like you to grab one of those. And today we're going to talk about Tamira's car trip. And what we're going to do is we're going to use a reading strategy that this is the first time we've used it this year, and it's called paired reading. So I'm going to teach that, and we're going to practice, and then we're going to do it with a partner. So what happens is I need someone to volunteer to help me model this to the class. Can I have a volunteer? Next one? Yes. Okay. So stand up. In line. I am going to say, Andrea is going to read the first sentence. And then I, her partner, am going to summarize what she said. And then I'm going to read the second sentence, and what do you think she's going to do? And then she's going to read the third sentence, and I'm going to summarize and read until we've gone through the entire thing and summarized every single sentence, and we get to the end, and we have this big question. And so while you're reading, I want you to think about what was Tamira's car trip, and what were the details. When did they stop? Where did they go? What were all the segments? And so on. So we're going to start off. So go ahead and get us started.
On Memorial Day, Tamira and her family went on a day trip to an outlet mall. So Memorial Day, I don't actually remember what month that's in, but Tamira and her family went on a day trip because I guess they had the day off school. They left their house at 9 a.m. and traveled at a constant speed of 70 miles per hour for 1 hour, arriving at the mall just as the stores opened. They left the mall, they drove for 70 miles, took them an hour, and the store was
Cool. All right, we're going to pause there, and I want you to find a partner at your desk and go ahead and start at the top and actually do paired reading to read this entire thing, keeping in mind that we're figuring out what about their trip. Can someone tell me one thing we're figuring out about their trip? If I knew your names better, I would be calling. If I have the hedgehog, I can just throw it. Tell me one thing that we're finding out about the trip. Sarah.
We don't know yet. We haven't read it.
But what did I say you might need to find out about her trip? Or what would you be looking for when you're reading this?
details, like where they went, how they did it, and when they got there.
What else could we find out about their trip?
Did they stop?
Did they stop? Tell me one more thing we could find out about their trip. Throw it.
Just throw it.
That was you.
How far they went.
How far they went. All right, so now that we know what we're finding out, go ahead and find a partner and get started.
They left their house at 9 a.m., traveled at a constant speed of 70 miles per hour for 1 hour, arriving at the mall just as the stores opened. Okay, so we're looking at the minutes, but I already get there. They shopped for 2 hours and then drove further away from at the speed of 40 miles per hour.
Don't worry about it, it's not important.
After the road, they return home and stay. So they travel much more.
All right, on three, put your fingers up if you need more time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you left a typer right now. Who would like to type some ideas on the board? No, we're not. Nope. Someone else is going to volunteer right now. I know your name well enough, so it's going to be Mr. Kelly, because I don't remember your first name. Go ahead and go up to the computer, and you can do the
And I
best
don't
you
spell
can.
correctly either.
All right, that's
why I teach math.
We are not judging you on any of that, because what you're going to type is our ideas. So, please start us out, someone at this group, and tell him one thing that you read about their trip and the details.
They left at 9 a.m.
Awesome. Next group, build onto that.
They went at a constant speed of 70 miles per hour for 1 hour.
Next group is going to build onto that.
They shot for 2 hours.
Ooh, so Hero stopped and she said shop. Who's right? Shop for 2 hours and stopped. Add on number 2 table.
They drove 15 more minutes.
Okay.
At a speed of 40 miles per hour.
Where were they going?
Away from home.
Where?
Lunch.
Ah. After that, what happens?
Stop for lunch for an hour.
Okay. You're doing an awesome job, by the way, over there, Mr. Keller.
This is the best I've ever done. If my typing teacher could see me now, he'd be happy.
I will let him
What
know.
do we do, stop for 1 hour for lunch?
Does it say where they ate lunch? Cafe. Do you guys like cafes? What's that?
Cafe. Exactly the same.
Well, do you like cafes? Have you ever been to one? Does anybody know what they sell?
Yeah.
Like,
Sandwiches, coffee, croissants.
what about in the winter? Hot chocolate, soup, stuff like that. Cool. Okay. So they lunched at a cafe, and then after that, we got to all the groups. So did anybody else want to jump in that also read? Someone in the back here? All right, that's okay. That's okay. We'll come back to our original group.
Then they drove back home slower.
Okay. Were there any things that we missed? Look very closely.
When they drove back home, it was slower, but it was also at a constant rate.
Ah, okay. So maybe drove back home at constant rate, slower. Does it tell us how much slower? Did anybody figure out how much, anything else from this that we did right up there? Any more specifics?
Told her friends at school the next day.
You're right. She did tell her friends at school because she probably got some cool clothes and was pretty stoked about it. but was there any other things about the specific trip that we missed? So we all feel good about this.
Well,
Alright.
yeah,
Yeah,
the 15 minutes that they drove for lunch was further
it was further.
away from home.
Oh, okay, so maybe we should add that. That is a key characteristic. Because did it have to be further from home? It could have been what? Yeah, it definitely could have been back in the direction of home, which may affect things. All right, so we're going to say further from home. And we're going to stop there. I want you to go ahead and take out your student activity sheets. They are the other piece of paper that we got handed out. And just take a look at question number 1. And right now I want you to individually see if you can use what we just worked on together to fill in the different segments of the trip into Mira's car family outing. Go ahead and try individually. You're going to have a chance to share